It's early 2025 right now, and for filmmakers, suddenly everything's changed. Google's Veo version 2 and OpenAI's Sora came out. The old theoretical became the new reality. I spent the last week using these, and there's something that I feel like not a lot of people are talking about. Right now, in early 2025, I don't feel like AI is necessarily replacing jobs just yet, rather than just empowering creators that didn't have access to certain tools in the first place. For example, the solo filmmaker that doesn't have the budget to hire a writer can maybe use an AI model to bounce ideas off of it, or a filmmaker that needs an establishing drone shot but doesn't have the budget for a drone operator can use it to generate an establishing drone shot, even though maybe it's not perfect. I feel like this is where AI is fitting in currently in the industry. What I mean by that is I've spent a lot of time with these models, and what I've noticed is AI really has no perspective. It can't create a message, and there's really no emotional truth to it. But what I have noticed is that it's exceptional at mimicking. It's creating stories and maybe combining stories in fascinating ways. But it's not coming from a place of emotion or experience. It's just processing patterns, which I think can be powerful, but there's nothing unique and no deep story behind it. When you go to an AI model, ask for a story. I think it's really evident in the text-based stuff. It always needs some kind of human input. But even down to the images, let's look at a few. Some of them are really beautiful and maybe even technically impressive, but a lot of the output is just really empty calories. Right now, I'm just not seeing the ability for AI to put together an underlying message or a unique perspective, which is what brings me to storytelling, and why I think storytelling matters more now than maybe it ever has and will continue to rise. Because when you capture an event or something that happened in real life, you're doing something that AI fundamentally cannot do. You're not only creating content, you're communicating truth. I think as filmmakers and creatives, that's what we need to focus on, telling good stories and serving the audience. Because while an AI can create endless variations of a product video or a text prompt, something that I think that AI fundamentally cannot do is understand why a story needs to be told or who needs to hear that story. But even with these fundamental limitations, I do think that we're going to see some changes in the industry over the next decade or so. But when have we not? I could see maybe some high-budget food shoots being less frequent, or maybe some simple color grading. But right now, at least in early 2025, I feel like AI tools are just democratizing filmmaking, not necessarily eliminating jobs just yet. While these tools seem pretty positive for some content creators, I think that it's tricky because I think we need to talk about how these tools are being developed. How they're being developed, at least how I understand it, bothers me. When digital cameras replaced film, when CGI replaced practical effects, those transitions happened through innovation. New technology was created. I may be off in my understanding, but from what I understand, a lot of these models have been trained on the backs of artists' work without their permission or any compensation. That's where I think it gets tricky. So think about it like this. Every photo, video, book, music that's uploaded, that's somebody's vision, their work, their creativity, and they were never even asked or not even acknowledged. Many of us have heard it, or maybe we even thought it ourselves, that the train has left the station. There's nothing we can do now. But in a way, that just feels wrong, maybe even overly passive for our creative rights. That's why I think it's at least worth having conversations about this. Previous technological shifts were about new ways of creating. I think that this is fundamentally different. It's worth a conversation, even if we're not sure what changes it might bring. Of course, AI is here, and I think it will be with us for a long time, and it's not all doom and gloom. I think there's functional ways to use it, like checking your email punctuation, or pre-visualizing a shoot before you commit to an expensive shoot. But I think that there's a line. Using it to execute on your ideas and your vision is one thing, but using it to copy someone else's is totally different. So in light of all of this, what do you need to do? Learn how to tell stories. Find your unique audience and learn how to serve them. Learn these tools, absolutely. They're becoming a part of our craft, but remember, these are tools. They're not replacements for your creativity. The industry will continue to change. It always has, and it always will. But in 2025, I'm still hopeful because right now we're at a point where AI is primarily expanding the access to filmmaking tools, not replacing the human element that makes stories worth sharing. I don't think the future of filmmaking belongs to AI. I think it belongs to filmmakers and storytellers that have something genuine to say. Focus on that. Develop your voice. Learn how to serve your audience. Because while AI can endlessly generate content, it can't replace the power of a human story that's truthfully told. I'm sharing my journey and what I've learned along the way. If you want to continue growing together, consider subscribing. This is just the beginning of the conversation.